What if one of the most powerful foods for your brain, your heart, and your blood sugar has been sitting in your grocery store or growing wild near your home for centuries? It's not a supplement. It's not an expensive superfood import. And no, it's not the latest wellness trend from a celebrity doctor. It's the oyster mushroom. And after 50, the science behind what this quiet, delicate fungus can do for your body is genuinely hard to ignore. In the next 9 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what the research is saying and why this might be one of the most practical additions you can make to your diet right now. Chapter 1. What are oyster mushrooms and why now? First, let's get clear on what we're talking about, because oyster mushroom covers a family of edible fungi that grow across Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. The most common varieties you'll find are Pleurotus austriatus, the classic gray or pearl oyster, found almost everywhere. Pleurotus orangi, the king oyster, thick and meaty. Pleurotus citrinopileatus, the golden oyster, popular across East Asia. Pleurotus jamor, the pink oyster, common in tropical regions. These mushrooms have been eaten for thousands of years across China, Japan, Korea, and Europe, not just as food, but as medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine used them to relax tendons, improve circulation, and strengthen the body. But here's what's changed. Modern nutritional science is now giving us the why behind what traditional cultures observed intuitively, and the timing matters. After 50, 3 systems in your body become increasingly vulnerable: your brain, your cardiovascular system, and your blood sugar regulation. Oyster mushrooms appear to address all 3. That's what makes them worth your full attention. Chapter 2. What's actually inside an oyster mushroom? Before we get into the specific benefits, let's look at the nutritional profile, because oyster mushrooms are more than just a flavoring agent. Per 100 grams of raw oyster mushrooms, you're getting protein, 3 to 4 grams, unusually high for a vegetable, with a complete or near-complete amino acid profile. Fiber, 2 to 3 grams, including a special type called beta-glucans. We'll come back to these. B vitamins, particularly B3, niacin, B5, pantothenic acid, and B2, riboflavin, all critical for energy metabolism and nerve health. Vitamin D. When exposed to sunlight or UV light, oyster mushrooms can synthesize meaningful amounts of vitamin D, a nutrient that over 40% of adults globally are deficient in. Potassium, more potassium per gram than a banana by some measures. Copper, zinc, and selenium, trace minerals, with major roles in immune function and antioxidant defense. Ergothioneine and lovastatin, 2 compounds you almost never hear about but should. More on those shortly. And all of this comes with very low calories, minimal fat, and virtually no sugar. For anyone managing weight, blood sugar, or cardiovascular risk after 50, that combination is hard to beat. Chapter 3. The brain connection. Let's start with your brain, because after 50, cognitive protection becomes one of the most important health priorities there is. Oyster mushrooms contain ergothioneine, an unusual amino acid, with powerful antioxidant properties that your body cannot produce on its own. You can only get it from food, and mushrooms are by far the richest source. Ergothioneine has a remarkable property. It actively concentrates in tissues that face the highest oxidative stress, including the brain, the liver, the eyes, and the kidneys. It essentially goes where the damage is worst and works there. Research published in peer-reviewed journals has found that people with lower blood levels of ergothioneine have a higher risk of cognitive decline and neurodegenerative conditions. One significant study from Singapore, where mushroom consumption is relatively high, found that older adults who ate mushrooms more than twice a week had a dramatically lower risk of mild cognitive impairment compared to those who ate them less than once a week. Beyond ergothioneine, oyster mushrooms also contain compounds that may stimulate nerve growth factor, NGF, a protein that supports the maintenance and regeneration of neurons. This is an active area of research, particularly in relation to lion's mane mushroom, but oyster mushrooms share some of these neuroactive compounds. The bottom line on brain health: oyster mushrooms offer antioxidant protection, potential neurological support, and anti-inflammatory properties, all relevant to healthy cognitive aging. Chapter 4. The heart and cholesterol story. Here's something that surprises most people. Oyster mushrooms naturally contain a compound called lovastatin. You may recognize that name. Lovastatin is also the name of a prescription cholesterol-lowering drug. In oyster mushrooms, it occurs naturally, in smaller amounts than a medication dose, but present nonetheless, and it works through the same mechanism, inhibiting an enzyme involved in cholesterol production in the liver. Beyond lovastatin, the beta-glucan fiber in oyster mushrooms is well documented for its cholesterol-lowering effects. Beta-glucans form a gel-like substance in the digestive tract that binds to cholesterol and bile acids, pulling them out before they can be reabsorbed. Multiple clinical reviews have confirmed this effect. Oyster mushrooms are also rich in potassium, which helps counteract the blood pressure-raising effects of sodium, relevant for the majority of adults over 50 who consume more sodium than is ideal. And their anti-inflammatory properties matter too. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood to be a key driver of cardiovascular disease, and oyster mushrooms contain compounds, including polyphenols and specific polysaccharides, that help dampen that inflammatory response. For heart health after 50, oyster mushrooms work on multiple fronts simultaneously: cholesterol, blood pressure, and inflammation. Chapter 5. Blood sugar and metabolic health. Type 2 diabetes rates climb sharply after 50, and even for people who haven't been diagnosed, blood sugar dysregulation, elevated fasting glucose, insulin resistance, post-meal spikes becomes increasingly common with age. This is where oyster mushrooms shine in a particularly practical way. Their beta-glucan content slows the absorption of sugars from your digestive tract, which flattens the blood sugar curve after a meal. This is the same mechanism that makes oats beneficial for blood sugar, but oyster mushrooms deliver it in a savory, low-carbohydrate package. Animal studies and some early human trials have also shown that compounds in oyster mushrooms may improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells respond more effectively to insulin, which is the core problem in type 2 diabetes. Additionally, oyster mushrooms have a very low glycemic index. You can eat a generous portion and expect minimal blood sugar impact while still getting fiber, protein, vitamins, and minerals. For anyone over 50 who is pre-diabetic, managing diabetes, or simply trying to protect their metabolic health, oyster mushrooms are a particularly smart dietary choice. Chapter 6. How to buy, store, and cook them. The good news is that oyster mushrooms are available, fresh, dried, or canned in most parts of the world, at markets, grocery stores, and increasingly at farmers markets and Asian food shops. Buying fresh. Look for firm, dry caps with no sliminess or dark spots. The gills underneath should be tight and clean. Avoid any that smell sour or feel wet. Storing. Keep them in a paper bag in the refrigerator. Plastic traps moisture and accelerates spoiling. Use within 5 to 7 days. Dried oyster mushrooms are an excellent pantry staple. They rehydrate quickly in warm water and last months. Some nutrients concentrate during drying. Cooking ideas that work globally. Stir-fried with garlic and soy sauce, a classic preparation across East and Southeast Asia. Sautéed in olive oil with garlic and herbs, Mediterranean style. Added to soups and stews, they absorb flavors beautifully and add a meaty texture. Grilled or roasted, the king oyster. Variety holds up especially well to high heat. Used as a meat substitute, pulled oyster mushroom has a texture remarkably similar to pulled chicken or pork. In omelets or scrambled eggs, an easy breakfast upgrade. One practical tip: don't overcrowd the pan. Oyster mushrooms release water when heated. Give them space and let them brown slightly. That caramelization is where the best flavor develops. Here's what makes oyster mushrooms genuinely remarkable after 50. Most foods are good for one thing. Oyster mushrooms address 3 of the most pressing health concerns that come with aging: your brain, your heart, and your blood sugar, simultaneously, affordably, and deliciously. They've been eaten safely for thousands of years across dozens of cultures. They're widely available. They're easy to cook. And modern science is now confirming what traditional wisdom long suggested. You don't need a dramatic dietary overhaul. Adding oyster mushrooms to your meals 2 or 3 times a week is a simple, realistic, evidence-informed step toward healthier aging. If this video gave you something valuable, please hit the like button. It takes 1 second and helps this content reach more people who need it. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you eaten oyster mushrooms before? And if so, how do you like to prepare them? I genuinely enjoy reading what people from different parts of the world share. Subscribe if you haven't already. We publish practical, science-backed nutrition and health content every week for people who take aging seriously in the best possible way. See you in the next one.